Hello. Yeah, not great news. COVID-19, which is the new name for the Wuhan virus, coronavirus, is now in London, or somebody in London has tested positive. So, if over here it's in the capital now, a hell of a lot more than one people have it. Also, completely unrelated, you might notice there's another Radiac on the shelf. The other Radiac I bought turned up today. Good news is it works, as in you can do the battery test and that all turns up fine. The lamp inside works. It's all in great condition and came with a load of the, kit with it. Bad news is, same fault as the other Radiac. The mega ohm resistor's gone in it, so it reads 300 plus Rontgen non-stop. But yeah, I didn't want to spend too long talking about Geiger counters and radiation and all that tonight. I wanted to spend more time talking about, COVID-19, coronavirus, nCoV-19, all the different names they've given it. As far as I'm aware, COVID does not turn people into like rabid monsters, so no, it won't be like 28 days later. What, a dosimeter pen, Alex Pro Gaming? What sort of dosimeter? Do you mean one like this? This kind of dosimeter? Or do you mean a different kind of dosimeter? I can briefly answer you on that. You need to buy a charger for it if you do mean this kind of type. I'll show you very quickly how to do it. MP5s are fine, weirdly better than the actual French mouse they're copied from. Alright, good, the notifications turned up on time. Don't forget to like the stream. But yeah, so do you mean this kind of dosimeter, Alex? Waiting for your answer so I can show you how to charge them if you mean this type. Weirdly, that's the actual charger for these behind, but with most of these you can charge them on various chargers. Yeah, good advice, Magic Platypus. I know people, if they can't see me, can't hear that, but yeah, F5 if it gets stuck or doesn't load anymore. If it hasn't turned up and you've ordered one, Scully, just report the seller to eBay and get your money back. I'm still waiting for Alex to tell me if this is what he was on about, dosimeter pens. Because if so, I can show him how to charge it directly on the stream. GP4 was pretty good for when it's made. Pretty outdated mask now. Same with a lot of old retro masks. GP5 is actually better than GP4 in terms of like stuff. Right, Alex Pro Gaming hasn't answered me, but I'm going to answer his question, what I think he was on about anyway. So what you need to do is buy a dosimeter charger. There's probably ways you can rig it up with a direct DC on a battery somehow, but I don't know how to do it. This is the easy and efficient way of doing it. So you buy a dosimeter charger. So you could get either, if you're in the US, you can probably get the US CDV ones cheaply. In Britain, the cheapest ones seem to be the old British Army and Royal Observer Corps dosimeter chargers. Most dosimeters seem to work on different chargers because they all seem to charge up on a similar direct current. It just seems that obviously the issue I have is some dosimeters are fatter or thinner at the bottom, so don't fit on all the chargers. I've got a German military one coming at the moment. But what you do is you get your dosimeter pen. You put this up. Annoyingly, I probably... Right, were you... thanks for asking a question and then going offline straight away as I try and answer you. But were you on about dosimeter pens? If so, I'm going to show you now. Right, so what you do... I'm just going to do it on my knee, which isn't the best place to do it. If you've got your dosimeter pen of whatever brand, you put it in there. You push it down and look through it. I need to do that right way around. And then what will happen is you will end up seeing eventually, when you've got the right amount of pressure on it, both the light come on and a line, which I am waiting to show up on mine. There we go. Right. So then what you do is you do it till the quartz fiber is, DKP50, exact same process. Get a dosimeter charger if you don't have a Polish DP66 or DP75 thing. And then it'll probably be too dark for you to see it on here on the webcam, but that's recharged. Yeah, sorry, it's too dark because of how these work. You need to look into a light source with them. Something like this, 10 to 20 pounds. Dosimeter chargers are really cheap. But just to prove it works for you on a DKP50, I will show you. So let me just get this one back up there. Now it's at 0 Rontgen. So yeah, DKP50 dosimeter even. Let me just put a little flashlight behind it with that there. So if you look at this one, what's it at? What does it say? How many Rontgen is it? look, it's about half a Rontgen at the moment. You can see the lines just there. So it doesn't need charging, but how you would charge it anyway, exact same process. Push it into one of these. See where the line is. Reset the line to 0 or just under 0. Remove it. Yep, you've reset your dosimeter. It's as easy as that. These are very easy to use chargers. Just be careful because of that bit. So yeah. No, I do not believe China's official numbers, as we've been over before. If you're interested in what these look like underneath, like what is in one of these, I can show you. Which I shouldn't be doing with that. I'll get my Swiss Army knife out. And then we'll go back to talking about COVID-19. But yeah, if you want to see what the inside of these are like, they're pretty much all identical. Nothing really on the base plate other than the circuit diagram. But what you have is a battery, a bulb, the spare bulb as well. Most of these always come with a bulb and a spare bulb. Let me see if I can just re-angle this to, there we go, give you a bit more light. So a bulb, a spare bulb, the battery, the step-up circuitry and high voltage circuit, and basically the bit where the bulb is there, that's the bit where the pen pushes onto it on the other side, and it works. They're pretty simplistic things, but again, these are the most mass-produced of all radiation detecting bits of equipment. Depending on what country you're in, you might be able to find your own nation's one of these cheaper. But in general, the Soviet ones, you can either buy a shitloads of the dosimeter pens with a charger, or you can buy a one of these charging units and do loads of different types. But like the Polish DP75 and the DP66 Geiger counters actually have a dosimeter charging slot built into the Geiger counter. But yeah, that's those. And the other point I was going to make, I'll get that light out of my face because it looks like I'm being interrogated now. It's about dosimeter pens. Different types of them, different quality. Some are better than others, but that one's not gonna do what I wanted with it. But interesting fun facts that I was chatting with Laser Point Production about earlier. The old British dosimeter pens, for all you Star Wars nerds. Right, British dosimeter pens. These are the ones the Imperial officers have on their jackets. It's a radiation dosimeter. No, every nation pretty much has these for the military. It's also, mine's got toothpaste on, look. I know it's toothpaste because it smells minty. But yeah, this is the British Army one. It goes from 0 to 200 centigrade, which is about 224 Rontgen. But yeah, so if you're wondering in Star Wars, when you see the officers with like these things on their shirts, they're actually the old radiation dosimeter pens. Let me just shine a light through this one just in case you can end up being able to see it on the webcam. Probably won't see it very well. But problem is that ends up just being too bright, doesn't it, really? But you can hopefully see on there, look, it's at 0 centigrade at the moment. Can you rad the comment? What? Irradiate it? Do you mean read the comment? I can't actually see the comment you want me to reply to, so you have to post it again. No, Adrian, we're going completely off topic now. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. How it works is as you become irradiated, basically, let's say you'd be wearing it like this, normally in a pocket on your jacket or whatever. As gamma rays shoot through you, they're also shooting through the pen. It's got an ionization chamber built into the pen. The needle inside, the microscopic needle you look at through the optic, As that gets irradiated, it moves the needle across. So you look at this at a light source and go, all right, I have absorbed, say, 2 Rontgen or something like that. That's how they work. They don't tell you what the current level of radiation is unless you looked at it every 10 minutes and like didn't move and then knew, you said like it was 0 Rontgen and now 10 minutes later it's 10 Rontgen. Therefore, every minute it's going up 1 Rontgen or whatever. When it doesn't need to charge, when it's not reading 0 if you've not exposed it to radiation. Because everybody's asking me about radiation at the moment. This is the problem with these chats, is when it's a live stream, people get sidetracked, including me. But yeah, they were the cheapest method of doing radiation stuff, because like with Geiger counters, they cost a lot more to build a fully functioning Geiger counter unit than it does to just create a little pen that reads radiation. Let me look them up, legendary metal. The problem is, as I've said before, just look up, are they P3, are they P100? Yes, those are good filters, they're good enough. What do you mean, what do the reticles represent? If you mean on the dosimeter pens, what do they represent? Well, they tell you a dose of radiation. And then as the line goes across, you're getting more and more irradiated. If you want a new, very low quality Geiger counter, less than £50. If you want a very good Geiger counter, like the Therapy, over £100. If you want, if you want a big old communist unit or whatever from the Cold War, varying amounts of money, depending on how collectible they are. But bear in mind, if you're buying old Geiger counters and ionization chambers and that, they're not always guaranteed to work due to age. In my opinion, always just be best if you want one for practical purposes, just buying something like a Therapy, which is both a dosimeter and a Geiger counter. So yeah, see at the moment it's showing me the dose. And if I do that, it shows you absorbed dose since you last changed the batteries. So what that means is 309 microsieverts. Right, the person who's been blocked has been blocked because every single stream he keeps asking questions not related to the stream, and I think he's doing it on purpose now. So you could have just looked at old videos. Fuck off. Sorry, but there we go. Right, let's go back to talking about COVID-19. The shums is fine. It depends depends what you want it for. P3, Ewan, because it's a modern NBC filter. Well, did you see the stream the other day, Daniel? I know we're going off topic again, but did you see the stream with the 21, what's it? The 21 continuous timers? Yep, there's the report of somebody in London was tested and turned up positive. So that means countless other people in London have been in contact with that person. Israeli filters work fine. Israeli filters are very good. For ages, the Israeli civilian and military filters were the same thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Plant Pot. How does an assessment pod work then? Is that like a thing where they put people in and it's sterile and then they take blood or do all the like things where they stick something up your nose, don't they? Or like a swab in your mouth or something? The particulate filters don't really expire. I've got more than 4, but if you mean the old one of those, I've got 3 of the old Radiacs, although the third one's the retrofitted one, the blue one there. That's the blue one's the only one that works. The other 2 have the same problem of put batteries in, the mega ohm resistor's gone, it reads 300 Rontgen, because the resistor isn't lowering it to 0 that radiation has to overcome. So if you read them, I've got 2 faulty meters, both read 300 Rontgen. I don't know, because there's also British nationals in other countries with it, and I think they include them on other nations' numbers, not Britain's numbers. It's very confusing with all that sort of stuff. In history enthusiast, Mark. Yeah, if you didn't see the dials, Daniel, I'll quickly show you them because they are interesting. Which one was this? Probably seen that one. Right, I'm just opening my case, getting these out. Just like store them in a thing that makes it safer. Right, there we go. So yeah, I have 21 of these continuous timer things in the bag here. So yeah. Of course, if I open the beta window, that would be even hotter because that's all gamma radiation. There we go. 66. Bear in mind, I've got several bags over this as well. What's the hot part of the dial? Oh, there we go. Right. 536, look. 606. So if I go to that one, which is a cumulative dose, bear in mind, every time that number goes up by 1, that's about a day's worth of background radiation. Or, well, probably more like 10 hours worth of background radiation, but we're at several days so far. But yeah, I'm getting very sidetracked now, aren't I, from talking about coronavirus. Good news, at least, is ionizing radiation kills viruses. Also kills people, so there's that. Let's put these back over here so they're out of the way. Depends what you mean, open it or not, but in terms of gamma radiation, wow, that penetrates regardless. Depends on how much of stuff like lead you've got between it and the space, you know, inverse square law. That's the most important bit. But yeah, can we go back to talking about coronavirus, please? And don't forget to like the stream because it seems to help YouTube actually share the videos to people who subscribe and click the bell. Well, they're saying now, Reese Marine, whatever your name is, it's somebody in London has been confirmed as having it. So if somebody in the capital has it, you know it's going to spread fast. It could certainly happen, MJ. You could actually have a mutated strain somewhere in the world and somewhere else it'd be the original strain because, you know, viruses. Beta rays burn your skin, but not related to the virus. There we go. We don't have accurate numbers, FBI, simply because China's numbers are pretty much all bullshit. And nobody can rely on them at this point. So you're going to have to wait and see what happens in lots of other countries when it gets there, who will actually accurately say the numbers. Because the problem is, if you've got a country that first was trying to deny it was happening and now has been trying to downplay it, they're certainly not going to say, oh yeah, our crematoriums can't even cope with all the bodies we need to burn. World War II film, what, as in, looks like a World War II filter? What do you mean? Looks like a World War II filter or just fits as shums? Oh, also, apologies to everybody, I'll say this now. Because I was, like a node of you heard, I hope it's nothing to do with Corona. I'm not even saying that as like a joke sort of thing, but last stream I was coughing quite a lot, and today I've sort of been coughing, sore throat and everything. So I didn't get up all that early, and I've not really been motivated to try and catch up with all the YouTube comments. So if you've got a question, I'd say as of tomorrow, ask it again, and then I'll try and keep up with all the comments again. But I've just had one of those days where, when I felt well enough to come on, there were so many missed comments. I thought I can't be bothered to go through, 20 plus hours of missed comments and reply to all of them. So yeah, just ask the questions again if you had questions. The UK is currently, anybody flying back from China is being quarantined at military bases. But the issue is we've already found several people that have it outside of people who've been to China now. Cheers, big boom of doom. The thing is as well, just because there's no confirmed cases doesn't mean there's not cases. Well, it's actually closer related to the cold than the flu, isn't it? Just like a deadly cold rather than an inconvenient cold. Well, is that a good or a bad thing? Because it's pretty draconian, but at the same time, you get those people who are complete pricks, don't you, who know they've got it, say, oh, I'll quarantine myself, and then they don't. They were saying about that on LBC. There was one bloke who was told to quarantine himself because he was suspected, and they were waiting for his test results to come in. And then he decided just to keep going out, even though he said, oh, no, I'll stay home. And then he was like going out to the pub, going out to the shops. And then, of course, he came back positive, I think. So I think that does prove to an extent why, you can't trust some people to go, oh, yeah, I won't go out. Yeah. Hang on, let me put the caps back on that. Right, that's the top cap, isn't it, that one? And then this one. There we go. My local news, I don't think is covering it at all. I don't think there's been any things, even though there's been things in my local area with it. It's like the actual national news. There's a lot of YouTube things that seem far better than the actual official news channels to me on it. Al Jazeera's actually been pretty good saying that, actually doing it, but it seems like a lot of the news channels are like, oh, we don't want to panic people, so we won't really talk about it. I reckon it means a much higher death rate, especially if you've seen the videos coming out of China. That's a better indicator than, any numbers is actually seeing with your own eyes videos, as long as they can be verified. But, when you see videos of just filled body bags lining corridors, that gives you a much better idea than them saying, oh no, only 10 people died today or whatever. What do you mean? The Swedish Frashida series are brilliant masks, excellent masks. There's one behind me with an S6 filter on it because I ended up finding those S6 filters for sale with the really cool design. It's a bit of dirt on it there, I'll need to clean off. But yeah, the weird S6 filter that's got all of the actual little holes around there. Oh, and if anybody wondered what this mask looks like in first person, there you go. Well, Magic Platypus, let's look at the figures, the official figures, which aren't even accurate, but 1,118 deaths now, 45,000 plus confirmed cases, but it's reached London now. Well, at least one person in London's tested positive, which means a lot more people have it. All right, Peach. Dosimeter. That sounds pretty destructive. Is a dosimeter like a dosimeter, but it actually wipes people out? It doesn't give people aggressive symptoms, they just cough and die. It's not a zombie virus. Out of all the masks I've got, probably White Wolf, but again, it depends. Not everybody's face is the same shape. So a mask that's comfortable for me doesn't mean it's comfortable for other people. Because they're affordable, Gary? Because they look cool? I don't know. Why don't you ask the people buying them? Depends where you are. Person with a JC Denton picture. I've covered that a lot of times, but probably my Spaziani TR2002. Most of the stuff we've got in the cupboards is like tinned meat, canned meat sort of stuff, rice. There's quite a lot of oats stored in the cupboard as well. No, it's far too... Well, it's a Thai chem, not a Thai Beck, but that's far too scrunch, and you'll wear an old military NBC suit if I have to. I think mostly from pneumonia, Daniel, is the reason it gets people. Like fluid in the lungs, basically. Like spam. Big boom of doom, yeah, spam's alright. No, if it gets to that point, you're doomed if you had to be suited up 24/7. Yeah, I think we've all been saying though for weeks though that it's going to cause massive damage to stock markets and everything. Because again, what people keep seeming to forget is that how much of the world's global produce for like manufacturing or whatever takes place in China. They've still got those factories closed and they're still not exporting anything. I don't know Big Boom of Doom, but I know some people that have had to be on oxygen things have had to be on it for like 7 to 10 days, haven't they, before they recovered? Assuming that the filters are still in good condition, Alexander, and not falling apart, yes, they would offer some protection. Yeah, when the actual chat isn't moving so fast, Bro Junkie, I can't keep up with questions, or it's just people stating the same point over and over. Now, define plague, really. What do you mean plague in terms of infection rates, fatality? Do you mean plague as in the Black Death? I don't think it's going to have any chance of killing anywhere near as many people as the Black Death. The thing you have to remember about really bad historical plagues, especially the ones during the medieval period, is medical science was not existent and probably worse than actually, just sitting at home and doing nothing. Oh, here are some leeches, let's let your blood. Oh, I'm a doctor, but my hands are covered in shit, that kind of stuff. I think somebody said earlier, didn't they, in a news thing about 45 million dead from this, like in total when it ends. But again, I don't know how they were doing those figures. Well, if you don't know about crematoriums in Wuhan, they've been running 24/7 for a while. There's lots of videos from like crematoriums of loads and loads of body bags piled up there and like corpse vans filled with loads and loads of body bags. And if you go on, it was like windy.com or something, they had a thing with all the like emissions from Wuhan that are much higher than normal. And the factories aren't running, it's just from crematoriums and bodies being burned. I don't know panspermia because I'm panspermia. Sorry, Hunter. Because I'm not a doctor. I know they were saying no, it's a lot further than like 8 foot or whatever it is from like people coughing and sneezing. So I'd imagine probably at least like 100 yards, like 10 to 100 yards sort of distance. But again, I think it's more just if people sneeze and cough now on public transport, it's going to get everybody on the public transport, not just the people in the first few seats next to them. The media is not even covering it properly, so I don't see how you can say they're fear mongering if they're not even showing you the real footage coming out of China. Because it's the official new name for it. I don't like the WHO at all, but I'm not sucking up to them just because I'm using the official name for it. You won't know unless you get a test kit done, Aleko, and there aren't enough test kits to go around. Well, I wouldn't use old Soviet filters because they contain asbestos, so even if they stop the virus, there's a risk you're just doing permanent damage to your lungs breathing through them. Yeah, White Wolf, but I won't talk much about that because in the UK, there's a lot of verboten political subjects, so I'll be very careful and say I'm prepared, but I don't want to actually really talk about that. Right. Don't forget to ask interesting questions because I'm waiting to answer some more. Let's refresh it and see. No, it doesn't say that to me at all, unless you're on a random site with it on. Well, for all the people just saying random things like, when is the time to isolate, you have to make that up for yourselves. I can't tell you. It'll depend on your financial situation, the implications of your financial situation if you just gave up your job and stopped going in or whatever. There's no way of really knowing. For some people, they get it. It is like a cold or a flu. They recover just fine. Other people don't. So again, it's not my decision to make for you. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like the news, Richard, because it's generally not a very good indicator of what's going on, and every news station has their own bias to spin on something. As much as a mask can dimers, yes. The problem is if it's truly airborne and a really, really small sort of micron size, a mask won't even protect you, I don't think, at that point, but we'll have to hope it's not that bad. Because even when you see footage of like people deconning planes, if it's that bad, they're not even properly geared up. Right, glad you like it, White Wolf. You'd have to try and stock up on as much of it as possible, brownie, before it gets too bad, if you can do. I'm having a bit of a problem at the moment because when I keep putting in prescription requests, they're trying to delay it as long as possible and ask me why do I need so much stuff and all that, blah, 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 which is typical, being treated like a child by the NHS. But yeah, you just have to try and stock up on as much of it as you can and just isolate yourself, and observe good quarantining procedures, I guess, so you're less likely to spread it to people who are vulnerable. I've already got loads of rubbing alcohol type stuff anyway, Outlander system, so because I don't need to go and buy anymore, I've not got an issue. But I know the pharmacies have said they've been selling out of it. It would have to spread a lot more, Ewan, than it currently is. At what level, I don't know, because I'm not the person who makes decisions like that. Obviously, if you see what China's done already, I think it will follow suit here if it gets that bad, just because it's going to cripple lots and lots of industries and that if the infection rate gets too high. Thank you very much, Dylan. Pure Ghost ones, probably. Where is it? It should be behind me. There it is. This one, if you can get one, but again, they're not always easy to get. So the camera filters, whatever they're called. I'll hold it up so you can see the label if the webcam focuses. Hang on, let me put that light back on. Right, so KAMA, and it's an ABEC 2 P3 filter, so very good in terms of protection. But it also does limited stuff against carbon monoxide, doesn't it, this filter? But yeah, they might not be the easiest filters to find. That's the only issue. So yeah, I'd recommend these, but yeah, FP5 filters if you get the type that will fit GOS masks, not the more newer FP5s. It's something to do with like oil protectiveness, a troubled man. Because this is a P3D and I've got others that are P3Rs. It's something to do with like how resilient they are to oils in the air or something. Well, the filters I just showed fit GP5s, yes, because they're GOST threaded. As said with Polish FP5 filters, the older generation of them do, because they were designed when Poland was still using a lot more of the old GOST masks in military service. But I think newer FP5 filters are just going to the standard NATO fit. Thank you very much, Shady Fourth. No, sadly, I don't think it can, but thank you very much anyway. I think your best bet is basically not getting it in the first place, it seems. I assume once you do get it, it's a case of just trying to keep very good nutrition, have a desire to get through it, keeping your spirits up, and getting on oxygen if you need it. Right. If it truly is an aerosol MG, and thank you very much, I don't know if expired filters would be any good. I think as long as a filter, even if it's expired, if you got like something like banana oil and you can't smell it through the filter, that means the charcoal is still absorbing vapor to an extent. So if that is the case, then it probably could deal with aerosols. The issue is obviously if you had just a really old expired filter, if it's expired to the stage where odors will make their way through it because the charcoal won't absorb anything anymore, then no. So I'd say if you've got an expired filter, like an NBC sort of CBRN ABEC style filter, if you open it, get some banana oil or something that smells really strongly. If you can't smell it, then it probably still would be working. Yeah, that should still be fine, Pazu. Obviously, don't open it until you really need it. But yeah, it expired only 5 years ago, and if it's vacuum sealed and all that, it's going to be in good condition. No, that might just mean it's making a weird noise, Marvin. You'd know if your exhale valve is broken, because if you do a pressure check and you breathe in and it lets air in through the exhale valve, then it is broken. Which poster? The big Soviet one? It's this old Soviet civil defense poster. Well, when you say the ones in the box, no, because until I end up getting rid of a lot of the stuff people end up sending me to do reviews on, and then never want back, even the people who say they do want it back, I've got the issue of I can't really do much with it because there's a massive box in that taking up, probably 4 foot by 4 foot box over there, which I could use as storage space for masks, but I can't because I have to keep it until the person wants it back. So the point is, you can't really organize masks like this if you have a collection, because unless you've got enough room in every single one of the rooms in your house to just put up shelves and put the masks neatly on the shelves, you have to store them like that. How else are you going to store them? I don't eat MREs, there's your answer. Best way to take care of a rubber mask long term is just keep it out of sunlight and dampness or conditions that are too dry. So basically put it in a cupboard. Yeah, but if you have a collection as big as mine, 150 odd masks, you're not going to get enough display cases for that, are you? This is kind of the thing I don't like when people start whinging that, oh, it's not neat enough behind you, blah, 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 blah. But also, can you buy this mask and review it? Okay, so how am I meant to store it then? You know, these things don't magically not take up space when you're not making a video on them. You have to put Outlander on it. You need to use silicone lubricant. I've done a video on it. Probably wouldn't be practical, sadly, White Wolf, because just where the front door is located, there's no real way of doing it, because houses like mine weren't built with like an actual kind of entrance hallway. They just built the sort of front door straight onto the living rooms or the kitchens, just because it was, you know, built to save space. You could technically drink soup for it, but you wouldn't eat them. You wouldn't wear the mask all the time. The point is, you'd wear the mask when you go out in public. When you're at home, you wouldn't need a mask on. That's why there's a whole point of decontamination when you get in and everything else. Yeah, Harris, it gets brought up constantly. The answer's still the same. I want to go, but at the moment it's getting very annoying trying to organise tours, because thanks to HBO show, which was excellent, there's loads and loads and loads of people now trying to backlog tours, you know, and causing controversy while they're there, because let's do Instagram photo shoots like nude or whatever in front of the memorials, because isn't that cool? It's like, fuck off, you Instagram influencer cunts. You ruin it for the people who actually want to go there for historical reasons and kind of to, you know, see how close we came to the brink. But, you know, well, don't open your window then. I mean, it depends on the pressure of your house and everything, but the point is that, you know, if there's all these risks, you just don't take certain risks. Oh, the one on the salted cobalt things. Yeah, glad you found that interesting. I was pretty amazed when I was reading up on cobalt 60 just how radioactive it is. Because when you start getting into playing about with radium, and then it's like, oh, I don't even, with all the radioactive items I've got containing radium, they don't even come close to 1 gram of pure radium. Yeah, you know, here's cobalt 60, and it's like, ha ha ha, I'm equivalent to 1 kilo, 100 grams of radium 226. It's like, fucking hell, yeah, I can understand why people are like, oh, if we just vaporize loads and loads of cobalt 60 and let it rain down everywhere, everybody on Earth will die. No, what's the last ship about? It depends which kind of hazmat suit you mean. If it's the rubberized kind of ones or plasticky one, yeah, disinfect it, leave it by the door, put it on again when you go back out. Well, no, because you're not going to manage to wear a mask 24/7. It's just not practical or possible. What you'd have to do is find a way of overpressuring your house, or, you know, having some sort of filter system set up in your house if you're all that worried about it. But you're not going to actually wear NBC gear 24/7. What are you asking me, Smokey? What I'd purify it with, or what would you purify it with? I've actually got a water military style purification set with like the hand pump filter thing for water. I need to dig that out. I think it's down there, but I'll probably end up doing a video on that fairly soon. But yeah, we've got that. We've got Brita jugs. You can obviously boil water. Again, it depends how hard it is to kill on surfaces and things. Because if you simply just need to boil water, then it wouldn't be very difficult for most people. Well, not all houses in the UK are identical. Some houses, if you're lucky enough, come, you know, with like a little porch bit where you could, you know, use it as a mud room, decontamination room, whatever. Other houses don't, like I was saying, mine doesn't. Yep, you can get ABEC filters for the JSP48. William, let me see. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can find you a link to any. Because a lot of them are sold out everywhere at the moment. But right, these are in stock, but they're overpriced. But there you go. Previously, you could get those, I think, for about £15. But just to point out, yes, they exist. There they are. But yeah, there is an actual thing which is like an NBC thing where they get a tent where there then is like a, the bouncy castle inflation machines. Imagine that with a filter on it, and what it's doing is it's pulling air through a big filter, and then it's keeping the tent inflated with that, so the tent is positive pressure, so stuff can't get in. So that's like the most comfortable way you could actually kind of survive in a that's right, William. I mean, yeah, if you're really concerned, I'd go for it at that price, because it depends. Because some people are saying to me at the moment, "Oh, I want to buy stuff, but I'm, very much budgeting it because of how much they've got." So, yeah, it really depends. But yeah, thank you for your donation. But there you go. The problem is, though, that's only confirmed Manatee Man. The issue is we know people have an incubation period in that, and I don't want to say that like I'm scaremongering. But the fact is, if you can have it for 2 to 3 weeks, they reckon how, although a lot of people won't have it in an incubation period for that long, they think now it could be like a period of up to 3 weeks. And if you can spread it while you're not showing symptoms for 3 weeks, how do you know you've not already got it, or people, in areas near you haven't already got it? Yeah, thank you very much, William. There's military booklets, and they vary from nation to nation on that, Joshua. The point is, if it's a fully contaminated area, you don't eat or drink in it. Masks have hydration tube systems for the reason of drinking in, as low level contamination as possible. Certain nations kind of have like glucose food kind of things, apparently, that you can put through the drinking tube of the mask. I've never actually seen any of those, otherwise I'd probably have done a video on them. I wouldn't ever really do videos on MREs, but that's the kind of thing that is a bit more interesting. But most nations, it's kind of, if you're in a battlefield situation where there's some sort of very dangerous gas or biological threat nearby, you just don't eat or drink, you evacuate the area. In theory, yes. Unknown. I mean, you'd have to be careful with it because you don't want to contaminate stuff with radiation, like as in get uranium dust. But if you've got like a big rock of uranium pitch blend or something, if you put that uranium, say, in a box, and then when you got in, you put your wallets and keys in there, assuming the radioactive field in there is strong enough, yes, you could use it like a UVC box that some people use. Because, yes, the radiation coming off of the uranium will kill corona. I don't know how much you'd need to kill it, but yes, using radiation to kill viruses and bacteria during like lots of different industrial processes is done. I mean, they'd normally use something like cobalt or cesium, but yes, something like uranium pitch blend would do it. Just for the people who don't know, because some of you might find this fascinating, going back to radiation, because it was just the thing that was brought up. I've got some pitch blend in the thing here. So if I just get this. So here's some pitch blend and other things. So there's some torbanite in there. Those rocks there are pitch blend. Just to show you, let's put the audio back on from this. Go back to dose rate. Oh, hang on. Dose rate, come on. There we go. But yeah, point is, so yeah, if you had something like uranium pitch blend, you could indeed use that to decontaminate. Although, bear in mind, that's not an accurate measure of dose, because that's that's raw uranium-based kind of rocks in there. It's not actually, cesium-137 the Geiger's calibrated on. But here's some other good examples. Bits of autunite and torbanite in there. So if we put that there. What sort of reading is that getting at the moment? 55, is that? Or is that 20? 23. I don't know if it's particularly higher on one side than the other, but... Yep. But that's with the beta window closed on it. If I open the beta window, it will be a bit higher. But... yeah. But yeah, the point is, going back to the thing, if you have uranium pitch blend or whatever, yes, you could definitely use that to decon things. But how long it would need to sit on it, I don't know. Yep, there's videos on my channel of me overloading them, Harris, but none of the ones I managed to overload are like decent military models. The one I have on my wall, I can overload pretty easily, because that only goes up to 99.99 microsievert, so just getting the strontium 90 and putting it near it overloads it. Look at the links Mike's putting in, Dave. The problem is I don't know where you live. I don't know what's currently available in stock. All I can do is me and other people can suggest masks to you, but you're going to have to come up with that yourself. There's a very big issue, Sadakar, and that is babies don't have enough basically lung capacity to breathe through a filter. So you'd need to get some sort of positive air pressure system, which you can put on like a battery or whatever. The Israeli ones would work for that. Let me see if I can find you one, if they're in stock anywhere. But basically what you need is an electric pump attached to a filter, so it draws the air for the baby. Because the issue is, if you just simply had a mask with a filter for a baby, they'd suffocate, or like a very young child. Let's see if I can find something for you. I'll just go back to the chat in a second. Thank you very much, Unknown Unknown. 30 microsieverts. Is that including beta or just gamma? If that's just gamma, that would be easily strong enough, because the beta would be even stronger in close proximity. But let's see. Let me see if I can find that Israeli thing. I'll tell you what, let me link you to the thing on Shalom's website. And then I can at least link you to that so you know what you're looking for, rather than spending absolutely ages trying to find the thing. Here you go. This is the Israeli infant and child thing. So this is the exact sort of thing you want to look for. So basically how something like that works, powered pump to provide them with the air. And then obviously they can see properly and stuff like that. So yeah, you might be able to find them on the surplus site somewhere. Thank you very much, person whose name I'd have no hopes of pronouncing, but thank you very much for the rubles. I appreciate it. Hope you're all right. But yeah, that sort of thing. There'll probably be other companies that do similar things, but yeah, you can't just give a baby a mask. They won't have the lung capacity to breathe through the filter. We don't know, fallacy, in all honesty, because there's arguing amongst all the scientists and medical people what it can and can't do and what levels of protection you need. So I'd say whatever people can, realistically afford and can go to that, without trying to be alarmist about it. Just, silicone, any sort of rubber or masks is absolutely fine for a virus. It won't matter. And that does not surprise me, JIP. Was that on Live Leak or somewhere? Just say if it will let you post what website that is, because I might check that out after the stream. But yeah, the point is, that's the worrying thing and sort of sad thing is, stuff like that's going on, but the news is trying to claim, oh, it's not really happening. He won't be able to post a link in the chat because it won't let him. YouTube won't let people post links unless they're moderators. But he could, obviously, if it lets him, say it was on this site, and then I guess we could all find it. Supercharger. Or supercharger is in supercharger for cars, like turbocharger, or do you mean something else? Well, you don't have to link to the video. I said it won't let you link to anything on the stream, but you could just simply say it was on this website or it was on YouTube or whatever. I've got some deactivated World War II guns and some World War II bayonets, but I'm not allowed to show them on streams anymore because of YouTube policy changes. Thank you very much, Eric, as always. Yeah, they were saying that it could be up to 3 weeks plus, Eric, now, because I think some people in the WHO were saying it could be up to 24 days. Not that we really trust the WHO, because they keep changing their mind on it non-stop all the time. But yeah, it seems some people are saying it could be up to 24 days. So yeah, And again, that's not the average incubation period. The average incubation period seems to be about a week for most people, like 3 days to 7 days kind of thing. But yeah, it could now be apparently 24 days for some people can have it and spread it before they end up feeling ill. I can show the bayonets, but I don't know if my pig stick is actually handy. I think it would be in this drawer, but I certainly can't show you the DIAC rifles. I really don't know if this is pushing it. These are post-World War II ones, but there's some communist Cold War grenades. This being a Soviet F1, which they used in World War II as well, and that's the Hungarian stick grenades. Yeah, I think the bayonets, unfortunately, are a bit too deep in my drawer. I don't want to push it with YouTube because they seem to be looking for an excuse to demonetize and kind of hide everything I've been doing at the moment. Yep. It's a shame because I can't show it. It's literally right here. But oh dear, can't show that, can I? Oh, better hide that again. But yeah. There's videos on it at least. Yeah, I think, thanks again, Eric, but I think that's the problem, isn't it? It's just estimates, guesses almost at this point, where different health agencies are saying different things. Yeah, has to be deactivated or I can't have it in the UK, unfortunately, Sam. At one point in the UK, under firearms, sort of the easier to obtain back in the day, firearm certificates, as long as it was semi-auto, you could have FOWs, you could have AKs, It was a bit like a lot of the US states. Then after the Hungerford mass shooting, they said no guns and that, no semi-autos for anybody other than things like Ruger 1022s because you might shoot up a school or something. It's all bullshit. Yeah, what I would recommend, Blake, is obviously I hope you get better, but what I'd recommend is see if there's a phone number you can phone for whatever your local health thing is and say, I've got these things, I'm worried, but I don't want to go into a doctor's surgery and risk infecting other people. Just because that's what they're actually telling people to do in a lot of countries, including mine now, is if you've got a load of the symptoms and you think you may be at risk of having it, phone a number rather than turning up and risking infecting other people. Because obviously what you don't want to do is go see a doctor and then spread it to the doctor or surfaces in the doctor's surgery or whatever. And then every single other person that comes to see the doctor starts picking it up and spreading it. There was actually a news thing, weirdly, Gary, earlier about basically there are more guns now in the hands of criminals in the UK than ever before. Oh, who'd have thought simply saying no, you're not allowed them doesn't work? Yeah, there's lots of stupid stuff like that, X50 squid. That's why, for example, when people keep saying to me, why don't you bother getting a firearms license? Because I'm sure you'd piss somebody off and they'd make a complaint against you, and I wouldn't want the police randomly, just turning up at your house to say, right, we want to look around whenever they want because of all, the sort of, you essentially just rent a gun in the UK. If you get a firearms license, you don't own it because they can at any point say, no, you're not fit to have it. You can get them, Sam. The point is that there's lots and lots of restrictions on what you are and aren't allowed to own, and lots of laws surrounding that. I do actually have a proper gun safe mounted to the wall. I keep my air rifles in another room. So I could literally just apply for an SGC and I'd have everything I need for it. But I just do not see the point because there's nowhere locally I can actually go and shoot it. Yeah, you can have compound bows. There's actually some behind me, but you probably can't see them very well. You see the bows there? That one of those is a compound bow. Well, Nikolai, it will be completely up to you to make the decision of when you want to do that. I think it will depend on how much you think you're in a risk zone, because I think eventually a lot of people are going to have to come to that decision. But obviously, for financial reasons, a lot of people just simply can't say, right, I'm not going to go to work, I'm going to bunker down, because, if they lose their job and they've got no income, they're a bit fucked for that reason as well. So I think most people would have to leave it as late as possible, but who knows when that will be? I don't, I'll flick that light back on again, but just aim it away from my face. There we go. Alibaba is the one for companies to do bulk orders. If you mean AliExpress, Oath, yes, if you can get it. Because at the moment, as much as I'm not really worried about viruses on packages from China, because you could just disinfect them or whatever, the thing I would worry about is that I've had lots of orders from China cancelled recently just because they say the factories still haven't opened and nobody's working in the export business in case they get infected. So yeah, if you can get one, I don't see the problem. The issue is I think you'd order it and you'd wait weeks and then somebody would say, oh, sorry, here's your refund. Nobody's at work to make it for you or export it for you. No, not really Shropshire, lad, because most of them break the seal with the mask with your face. When you see in like films and all that of people wearing hoods and then the masks over them, it doesn't work like that. In reality, you put the mask on, and then if you've got a hood, you put the hood over it, as in a chemical hood. But like balaclavas and that don't work. That's why you sometimes see what are called flash hoods for gas masks, and they're like balaclavas built to go over a mask, so the mask can't set on fire if there's like incendiaries going off near them. No, that is not a Monster energy drink. It's very citrusy and limey tasting pale ale, which I imagine a lot of people wouldn't like. I quite like this. So yeah, I'll head off fairly soon, but don't forget to like the stream before we go off. Thank you for everybody that donated as always, and I hope I answered questions. And I said, for the people who missed it, apologies if I've not replied to a comment today. I'll try and reply to some comments before I go to bed, but the issue was that because I was quite ill this morning in terms of like sore throat, headache, coughing and stuff like that, I didn't want to really get up all that early. So, and I didn't really feel like sitting down and reading and replying to YouTube comments. So because I did that, I just can't catch up with a lot of the ones I've missed now. So what I'm going to do is, as of tomorrow morning, try and keep up with any new comments I have coming in. But I won't be able to, and the same for the weekend when I'm at work, because I've not got this weekend coming off of as holiday, although I've had the previous weekend booked off as holiday. So it'll just be a case of if you've made a comment a day ago and I haven't replied, just post it the exact comment again with a question. Apologies, I like replying to comments, but just the sheer amount I've been getting recently has been so insane that, it's gone from being where I could look at the comments about 3 times a day, reply to them, and then that would be it, to where at the moment I have to check the comments like every hour and spend 10 to 20 minutes replying to all the ones and then doing that hour after hour. And then if I've not looked at the comments for a few hours, I have to spend like a good hour replying to comments. So as I said, as I felt a bit ill this morning, I've not done that. And as I'll be volunteering tomorrow for a few hours, I'll have to just, start catching up with comments once I get back from there. And at the weekends, I'll just have to be able to reply to comments where I see them. And then, as of Monday again, I can probably start, I really like raw onion, Gary, actually. One of the things I really like is having like some sort of baguette, like with meat in it, and then just shitloads of raw onion in it. I know that would disgust a lot of people, but I find that nice. No, Christopher, I haven't reviewed that one. I've reviewed the General Communist Bloc kind of emergency condom NBC suit. I have got a similar thing that arrived today that I've not opened yet, so I might do a video on that maybe tomorrow, which is the Swiss, I think they called it ABC, as in atomic biological chemical emergency NBC poncho kind of thing. But yeah, if I do catch it, Absurge the internet or whatever your name is, yeah, I'd vlog it basically. But yeah, that'd be if I was well enough to be at a computer. But yes, but I don't think I've caught it. I think I've just literally got a nasty sort of cold cough type thing at the moment. But yeah, anyway, see everybody. Thank you for all the donations. Don't forget to click like as you go off the stream, just because, again, it makes YouTube share the videos, where normally at the moment they're trying not to share the videos, because how dare you talk about this and not be a news anchor. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thank you for the donations, and I will probably stream tomorrow evening about 8 or 9 p.m. as usual.